Alright, so I messed up when I put that seal in. Apparently it was a cheap seal. The springs came out and I had a fun time getting it out. I didn't show you how I got it out. My battery went dead. But I ended up scratching a little bit of this surface here. I got one little burr right there. I've already deburred and sanded the other burrs, but what I was doing was I took my claw hammer and I was tapping the other hammer on the end of this claw. So I'd put the claw in there and then I would tap. I did end up getting it out that way, but unfortunately I did scratch up my seal surface right here. I don't think it hurt it none. I deburred it and then I sanded it. Like I say, I got one more little burr right there. That's a little bit rough. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna see if it'll sand out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some 180 and some 320. Now I could take my deburr tool and run in here, but it's not that big a burr. So what I'm gonna do is I'm taking some 180 grit and I'm gonna find that burr there and I'm gonna just sand on top of that thing. And that pretty much took care of it. I believe that got it right there. So I could also, you know, I could go back. I'm gonna go ahead and hit this other a little bit more. I've already hit it with 320, but I didn't hit it with 180 to start with. And I believe it could stand a little 180 on it and then go back and hit it with some 320. To help get it smooth. You know, when you do this, because I've already got my bearings installed, you got to realize that you're getting dust. You're getting this aluminum dust in these bearings and other orifices. So I'm going to blow this out right quick with my air. So then I'm going to come back and just take my towel and just wipe it down good. And you can see it still had a little bit of grit in there. Then I'm going to just lightly wipe over the bearing surfaces. Just try to get anything out of there. Yeah, while I was thinking about it, I found my grease. I'm gonna go ahead and just put a little bit of grease on these bearings, just so they don't start up dry. And this is just multi-purpose grease. I couldn't find any transmission assembly grease at the local auto parts store, so I can special order some, but I don't really think it's going to be necessary. I just put a little bit of this multi-purpose grease. It's a real thin coating on it, and I'll do the same thing to the inner bearing, but I'm gonna have to turn it over to get to that. So we'll do that afterwards. So if you do what I did and you put your seal in and it comes apart and you have to replace the input shaft seal, the Timken part number is 710928. 710928. I got this. This luckily was in stock at AutoZone. Alright, and this is what it looks like. Remember, this seal does not have a lip. If it had a lip around the outside, it would be so much easier to deal with, but it doesn't, so that's why we had so much trouble. So I'm gonna get me a little bit of transmission fluid and lube this side out of it up. This seal has a spring on the inside and on the outside, and the inside spring is the one that came off with me. So I want to be sure to lube up both inside and outside sealing surfaces and around the edges so that it will slide in better. And all the burrs is pretty much gone. And hopefully this time it won't pop loose with me. So we'll get it. And it is seated. And we'll turn it over and make sure that nothing came out of it. And I can see the spring, or I think I can see the spring. Now I'll take some more of that grease and we'll grease the inner bearing. Lightly grease it. Now we're ready to set in our front output shaft bearing and seal. The front output shaft is the one that goes to the front axle, and it is going to be this little one right here. Alright, so comparing the two bearings, I can tell that this is a cheaper bearing. It looks like it almost has a plastic retainer, where this one has a metal cage retainer. So this is definitely a cheaper bearing than the one that I'm fixing to put in, but the only other option would be to reuse what we got. There's probably nothing wrong with it. I'm gonna probably save it, but no need in using it when we got a new one. I'm gonna go ahead and lube these inside this bearing while it's easy to handle. And it'll also help keep these bearings from riding and, well, from getting jarred around in this housing. And then of course we'll lube up the outside, and we're going to stick it in the hole, and hopefully, I believe I've got a bearing driver that will fit it. If not, you could, I could use this and hit it like that, but since I've got one that actually seems to fit, it's one I drove out the old bearing with, I would rather use it. That way I can get it a little straighter maybe. I'm gonna go in at an angle here. Tap this side down a little bit. Oop, too much. A little too much. I'll try this again. I think I am going to go to a bigger hickey. This thing just feels like it's just barely catching the edge, and so we'll go with the next size. I think will be the right size to fit over it. Yes. come in sideways. For some reason it just ain't wanting to go in straight. There it went. Okay. Alright, so that one's in. Now I believe this is going to be our sealing, or our front bearing, our front seal. I'll get it right here in a minute. And just like the other front seal here, this one's got a spring on the inside and a spring on the outside. And also notice that we have an oil hole right here. I don't know if y'all can see that. And an oil hole right here. This is what's going to lube this bearing. Now this has got a lip in here that this should not go past, and it will not completely cover off that oil hole if we don't go past it. As you can see, we're just easing it down, and if we wanted to, we could put this thing here on here. And seat it. And hopefully we didn't go past the, I'm sure we didn't. Yeah, I can see the oil hole fine. Yeah, that's perfect. So this is our front case assembly. So our front case assembly has been completely rebearing and resealed, and we're ready now. We could go ahead and put back in our lock ring if you desired. I'm gonna wait on mine because I'm gonna get some. I got one that's already clean, ready to go, but you need to be sure you put some kind of sealant around these holes so the bolts don't leak from the inside. So we're done with this, and we're going to move on to other things. I may or may not get everything done today or tomorrow or this week. As we work on this, I'm going to film it. I'm going to try to keep the videos within 15-20 minutes. So hopefully it won't, you know, if you're looking at it, just watching the series, just to be watching, I appreciate it. And if you're looking at this video to get an idea of how to put this case together, well, the next part will be a different section. So thanks for watching. Please rate, comment, subscribe if you haven't.